Welcome back to Peace, Love and Tarot. This reading is for Virgo, Sun, Moon, Rising. It's a weekly reading for the week of September 9th to the 15th. So your cards this week, Virgo, we have an Oracle card, Mirror. We have the Knight of Swords, the Two of Wands, we have King of Cups, the Four of Swords, Knight of Wands, and the Seven of Wands. So let's start with your Oracle card. It's setting the theme for your reading here. So Mirror, who or what is triggering you? The filter of your own experience is how we experience life 90% of the time, through our own projections. When someone reminds us of an unhealed experience, we get triggered. Often it is an unconscious thing. People and situations can trigger our mirrors to reflect back to us what we believe to be true about ourselves, life, and the universe. Mirrors pointing to our shadow and our light. Mirrors revealing the parts of us that are yet to be accepted, witnessed, or loved. So yeah, I mean, Virgo, some of you might be going through a situation where, you're really feeling triggered, or that there's some unresolved issues from the past coming up. You might be experiencing some strong emotions and not really knowing, where it's coming from, or it may be obvious where it's coming from. Let's start here then, because I think this is very telling, with the Knight of Swords and the Seven of Wands. So look, some of you might be in a situation where there are, arguments happening. It could be in a romantic partnership, it could be with family, it could be at work, it could be with a colleague or a mentor. Because the Knight of Swords can be those harsh words, that kind of cutting communication. But, also it may not necessarily be that there is like an outward argumentative energy. It might be just that you've come in contact with a person or a situation, and that those people that just you just find them grating, or they get on your nerves, and that makes you feel a certain way, or sometimes makes you feel angry, or brings up an emotion for you that's really uncomfortable. So that's the mirror, because it's showing you, maybe there's a fragment of that in yourself that's unresolved. So I really think this is a week to look at those things that are triggering you and really sort of do some self-reflection as to, why, Okay, Virgo, sorry about that, just got a flat battery, so I need to pick up where I left off here. I just get to the end of the reading, and now I've got to come back to this position here. Anyway, so what we're saying here is, so you could be engaging in a situation or with a person that is outwardly, trying to argue with you, or giving you harsh words that are, it's just basically not going down well with you and triggering you. Or if we look in the Seven of Wands here, there's 6 wands coming up at this person. And, we can't see sort of who's holding these wands. So there's almost like there's a bit of a phantom aspect. So it's likely that, there could be, these sort of represent your inner demons, and the situation could be triggering your own demons to be released, and you sort of feel like things are coming up to the surface again that you thought you'd moved on from, or things that you didn't even really know still, were within you, and you literally feel like you have to kind of, fight the battle and have persistence to actually get through it. When we when we sort of evolve spiritually, if you're into this, it is a process of kind of emptying out all those situations, unresolved emotions that need to be healed, in order to, basically it is really that process of letting everything go, so that we can actually be much more clarified spiritually. So we release everything, and when we're going through a period of that, often things are just coming up to be released and healed through being triggered. And if we're normally quite a peaceful person, that can be a really confronting experience. Now I really feel that this week, this is where you decide to take a pause and, really sort of figure out how you're going to move forward in this situation. I think some of you are pretty over it. You might be feeling a little bit defeated, losing your energy, because it can be really tricky, when you're in a situation where you feel like you've been quite, triggered, and you've been reactive. So I think some of you are taking a pause, having some self-reflection to try and figure out what's going on here and what's the best way to move forward. Now we can see in the Four of Swords that it links to the Three of Swords, and if you know the writer version of this card, it's the heart with the three swords going through it. So that can talk about wounds, hurts and deep pain. So maybe, the situation or this trigger or this argument, whatever it is, has opened up an old wound again. And you thought you'd healed it, or you thought there was no other remnants there, but now you're re-experiencing some of it. Now you've got to remember this is actually a good thing, because it's bringing it up to the surface, any of those last fragments that weren't healed, so that it can be fully healed and released, and you can move on with your life without that. We can see here that you're a person who does have one battle sword left here, so I feel like there is enough energy in the tank to, carry on, to figure it out, make a new plan to move forward. And what you're moving forward to is a place of much greater emotional stability, getting back into control again. Because the King of Cups is somebody who is in control of their life, who is mature and authoritative, and also very deeply compassionate and empathetic. So maybe you need to meet this personal situation with compassion. If you are really trying to diffuse somebody who is openly giving you harsh words or trying to argue with you, actually meeting them with a mature, compassionate outlook can really be the best antidote for the situation. And I feel like after you've figured this thing out, and you've taken some time to reflect, and you've allowed these emotions to come up, to be released, you are going to be much more in the King of Cups energy. Because the King of Cups is somebody who can sit in the emotional turmoil of life, as represented by the water here. Water in tarot is always its emotions, who can, be sitting right into the emotional turmoil of life, but remained grounded and solid and stable, really in control. That's the King of Cups energy. And, I think it's going to make you feel you're actually going to end up having a bit of a quantum leap in that way, and you're going to end up way more calm than what you thought you were initially, because, this situation is going to bring you growth. And I really feel that after you've sort of resolved this situation or figured out which way to move forward, you're going to be moving forward swiftly in a much better direction. Here we see in the Two of Wands somebody who has a wand of the past attached to the side of the castle, but has a firm grip on the wand of the future. So I really feel like this is, in this situation, you deciding to let bygones be bygones, leave the past in the past. Okay, that's happened, but now it's time for me to move forward onto bigger, better things. I've got the whole world in front of me. I don't need to engage in that energy, or it may be, I'm going to release that side of myself and move forward in a better direction. And in order to do that, the Two of Wands has that message of needing to go beyond your comfort zone in order to move forward in your future direction. So maybe that means actually having a conversation with someone, saying what you're willing to put up with, what you're not willing to put up with. Maybe it's really just getting honest with yourself and realizing that you've been a part in this. Either way, there's a part of, going beyond your comfort zone in order to move forward. And once you do that, I think you're going to be in the Knight of Wands energy, which is moving, swiftly forward into a much better direction that's more aligned with you, and to a place that's much, much more emotionally stable and grounded. And we see the three hills in the background too here, and we have another three represented in this card here too. So threes in tarot are, the beginning of new manifestations. So I really feel that once you've cleared this, you're going to have that space in your life to actually begin to manifest new things. Because sometimes when there's old, residual baggage or situations or stories about ourselves or others hanging around, it really uses up space that we could be actually moving forward or creating something new in our lives. So yeah, I do see really swift forward movement once you resolve the situation, allow it to come up, to be healed and released. It's not a bad thing that you're re-experiencing this. So Virgo, that's what I have for you this week. It's a pretty specific reading, so it won't resonate for all of you. Just for those, it's meant to, take what resonates and, just leave the rest. So, yeah, that's it, and I'll see you back here for another reading next week.